Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am going to be discussing episode 7 of House of the Dragon. So like in some of my previous videos, I will start with an episode recap and then I will go through some interesting things to note or point out from the episode. And I do apologize. It's raining here, so you might hear some of the raindrops from outside. So with that, sit back, relax, and let's get started. A standard television episode plotting method. Use the first act to create chaos between characters, the second act to heighten it, and the third to bring all the major players together at a party, event, or function where different pairs can mingle and stew, and the tension can finally come to a boil. In its 7th episode, House of the Dragon tips that convention on its side. Laena Velarion's funeral, and more specifically, the post-funeral patio luncheon, throws the whole cast of characters together from the get-go, including some who haven't seen one another in years, like Rhaenyra and Daemon. It's a mirthless party where everyone casts side-eye at friends and enemies alike, and the camera mingles among them like an acutely aware guest. It's hard to tell precisely how much time has lapsed since Laena's death, perhaps a few days, but it was enough for the various dispersed Targaryens to descend on Driftmark and bring with them their genetically endowed abilities to be uniquely awful. Here are a few things we learn right away. Otto Hightower is again Hand of the King, despite the fact that he's been away from court for a decade, and there surely must be another reliable agent Viserys can employ. Harwin is confirmed dead, and although Rhaenyra's boys may not know that he is their real father, Jace at least senses that their mourning loyalties ought lie with him. Aegon is currently betrothed to his sister Helaena, who whispers songs to spiders and generally avoids conversation. Viserys' mind is wearing down like his degrading body, and at one point he calls Alicent Emma. And whoever planned this event didn't think to offer victuals to the mourners or to throw it in a sensible indoors location. This is the tip of a chilly, wave-beaten island, yet apparently no one expects the gray skies and crystallized breath. For all its contrivance, this episode gets one thing right that we've missed out on until now. It slows the tempo down to a conversational crawl and digs into the little slights and shared looks until the final few moments of the episode, when the showrunners cram in their big Lenore reveal and Rhaenyra and Daemon's wedding. They finally hit the appropriate narrative pace for a show of this scale. Aemon's long, luscious bonding scene with Vagar does the right thing in taking its sweet time. For all the obvious reasons, House of the Dragon had to go big with its dragons, and Vagar, the biggest prize of all, had to be shown off in all her glory in order for us to understand the stakes of Aemon's gain. Vagar is a massive, huge, gigantic dragon that could make playthings out of other dragons at least twice the size of Daemon's Caraxes and Rhaenyra's Syrax. She's also a storied warrior, originally written by Aegon I's sister and wife, Visenya, during the conquest of Westeros. With tiny Aemond on her back, her size is even more apparent. Though we've seen dragon riding before, this is the first time we're shown the inherent danger in climbing onto a beast like Vagar and taking her for a ride. As Laena explained to her daughter last week, the dragon must choose the rider, but the rider must also prove their worth. To skip out in the dark and confront an animal that can melt armor establishes Aemon's bona fides, and the fact that he hangs on for all her Top Gun style dives and climbs cements the two together. Vagar apparently gives Aemond a confidence boost too. The formerly tame Targaryen is now a jerk of the highest rank, joining his big brother Aegon in the pantheon of terrible TV tots. Baela and Rhaena's furor about Vagar is justified. They've just lost their mother, and now this piece of her will fly off with a spoiled little princeling they don't know particularly well. Plus, there is the additional fact of Rhaena's dragonless state. She may have believed that Vagar would naturally pass to her, and the scuffle turned slashing into the bowels of high tide is decidedly instigated by Aemond, despite the fact that he is outnumbered and doesn't have a weapon. Jace may pull out a knife, but the look on Aemon's face as he holds that rock over Luke's head bears an uncanny resemblance to the one on his uncle Daemon's face when he bashed in Rhea's head. It is an expression of triumph as though he has to inflict cruelty on someone else to ensure his own new sense of self. The scene is also a clever mirror of how the adults handle the same accusations and slights. Like her son, Alicent has grown a backbone the size of Vagar's. When Viserys insists that Rhaenyra repeat the vile insult Aemond hurled at her son, Alicent assumes she will have Rhaenyra cornered, that once the princess says out loud that the lineage of her children has been questioned, Viserys will have to publicly reckon with the crisis of legitimacy. But the king is now nothing but a pawn. Alicent nudges him in one direction, and then Rhaenyra shoves him back again. His solution is to ask them to all shake hands, make up, let bygones be bygones. Rhaenyra can adjust her sails accordingly. She may have the blood of the dragon, but she can cool herself down. Alicent has 10 years of rage at playing second fiddle stored up inside her, and she'll be damned if in this fight she doesn't at least get parity, meaning a child's eye. Oh, how she flies at Rhaenyra. For a brief moment, the camera zooms in on the Valyrian steel dagger she swiped from her husband's belt, the same one that Viserys showed to Rhaenyra and used to impress upon her the requirement that only Targaryens hold the throne, because only they can produce the prince that was promised. Alicent is ignorant of the larger implications, but it's not hard to draw a connection between Rhaenyra's glimpse of the dagger and her hasty proposal to Daemon. To Targaryens, only pure blood is real blood, and Daemon can not only help her guard her succession, but keep her family dynasty clean. After all, they do literally bind their blood. The Targaryen marriage ceremony, stuffed into this episode to its detriment, requires multiple wounds. The Daemon Rhaenyra requires multiple wounds. The Daemon Rhaenyra will they or won't they saga comes to an end. But the real thrill of their union is how they pull it off, and the real missed opportunity of the episode is how quickly they reveal the twist. Imagine if we hadn't known that the charred body in the fireplace was not Laenor, but the unassuming dude trotting down the stairs at high tide who had his neck wrung. Imagine if we hadn't seen Laenor and Qarl rowing off toward Essos, where they'll live happily on Daemon's gold. So now I'm going to just call out some of the interesting moments from this episode. Although Laena wanted to die a dragon rider's death and had Vagar Dracarys her in last week's episode, her body was officially laid to rest the Valyrian way by being returned to the sea. During the funeral ceremony, Vaemond mentions the Merling King, a god from whom the Valyrians claim they received the Driftwood throne. Vaemond also says the Valyrians' blood must never thin while staring right at Rhaenyra and her children, a clear reference to the fact that they're not Valyrians, which is quite rude, especially during Laena's funeral. Last week, Helena correctly predicted that Aemond would close an eye for a dragon, and this week we hear her muttering, "Hand turns loom, spool of green, spool of black, dragons of flesh weaving dragons of thread." This is clearly about the conflict between the Greens, which is Alicent and her family and allies, and the Blacks, Rhaenyra and her family and allies, and notably references the Hand, who is the ultimate spinner of all the chaos, Otto Hightower. As Aegon and Aemond discuss, Alicent has had Aegon and Helena betrothed. In last week's episode, Rhaenyra proposed that Helena be betrothed to Jace, so Alicent is clearly trying to avoid that happening once and for all, while strengthening her own family's ties and embracing the grand Targaryen tradition. Even though she was judging Rhaenyra when she thought she had hooked up with Daemon. Viserys accidentally calls Alicent Emma. It shows both that he still thinks of his first wife and perhaps that his mind is deteriorating alongside his body. Aemond commands Vhagar with Daharis, which means serve. He also says Likiri, which means calm, to get Vhagar to stop when she is about to roast him. Then he says Savis, which means fly. The dagger Alicent attacks Luke and Rhaenyra with is, of course, the cat's paw dagger. This is the dagger that has Aegon's prophecy inscribed on it, and it's also the dagger that was used in the assassination attempt on Bran in Game of Thrones, and which Arya yielded to kill both Littlefinger and the Night King. Corlys and Rhaenys protect both Rhaenyra and Daemon's children during the fight between Alicent and Rhaenyra. Despite snubbing Rhaenyra's boys earlier in the episode, Rhaenys still puts herself between them and the violence. Laenor perhaps planted the seeds for the plan to kill him when he told Rhaenyra, "You deserve better than what I have been. You deserve a husband." We don't realize it until the end of the episode, but Rhaenyra and Daemon are discussing their plan to fake Laenor's death so they can marry as they watch the king's boat sail away. In addition to talking about how Laenor would need to die for them to marry, Rhaenyra emphasizes her love for him, the fact that she doesn't want to be a tyrant, and notes the sea offers an escape. Daemon, meanwhile, says of Lenore, "Set him free." He also adds significantly, "We will know the truth of it, and our enemies won't." So much double meaning. Daemon and Rhaenyra have a Valyrian wedding ceremony. They cut each other with dragonglass and mix their blood, emphasizing the fire and blood of their house and the focus on one single pure bloodline. As Rhaenyra notes in the episode, they have bound their blood just as Aegon the Conqueror did with his sisters. So I am going to wrap it up here. I hope you enjoyed. I would love to hear your thoughts around the episode in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful